I gotta get stuck in the snow again. Alright, I'm accelerating out of this.
Since the election, most Democratic leaders have been stunned. One real exception to that has been Rahm Emanuel, who time and time again, with his language, strips things down to their bare essentials. And if let's say he's talking about DEI, or let's say he's talking about trans athletes, or talking about some of these hot button issues that Democrats fumble around on, Rahm, he'll have a line for it, which is the Democratic Party is popular when they're the party of acceptance. They are unpopular when they're a party of authoritarianism on these social issues. They're the party of advocacy, shoving all of these issues in Americans' faces, even when they don't want to. Acceptance, yes. Stern advocacy, no.
Absolutely right. I mean, God, how much do I love James Carville, by the way. But Ron, he knows how to communicate. And he actually says, the messenger is the message, because Democrats like to go on about, we have to get the message right. Well, the messenger has to be right, too. And Ron is able to speak with clarity, which is so missing from the kind of mothballed, euphemistic verbiage, that the Democrats tend to speak in. And he says, Democrats tend to defend they defend the process instead of the results, and it's absolutely true. Much though I love Elizabeth Warren, the sight of her sort of parading around with a sign saying, save our CPB, it's like, what's the next thing? Save our IRS. I mean, this acronyms and sort of, it's lame. It's lame. And Rahm is never lame. He has this amazing expertise, which is, of course, wildly out of fashion to have any expertise. But when you think that he was, chief of staff, that he was, ambassador to Japan, that he was mayor of Chicago, the guy has he's a practitioner. He's not an advisor, although he has been. He's a practitioner. He's been in the throng and the throes of the real sort of heat of politics. And he understands what really works and what doesn't. He knows how to communicate. And yet, he's also brilliant. So I think we need people like him who are intellectually top-notch, but who are communicating in ways that people can understand with clarity.
Tina, beyond Rahm Emanuel, when you look around the country and you look particularly to the next election, obviously Democrats are hoping that they...
Right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh yeah, let's turn felonies into misdemeanors. Why did anybody ask for that?
No one asked.
No one asked for that, right?
Yes, that's
so it's
true.
a little bit apples and oranges. In this case, though, it's at least good that he's saying this on TV. Yeah, sure, a lot of people might miss the hypocrisy of it, although I think Harold Ford pointed it out.
I give him credit for saying this.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I'm sure he got backlash for it because I'm not going to lie. So far, based on what I'm seeing, there's been favorability toward Trump, gutting federal agencies. I think he's now starting to go too far. But, anytime a conservative speaks out against something Trump is doing, he's going to be met with backlash, and credit where credit is due. At least Jesse Waters was willing to say what he said on TV.
Yeah, I hear you. Loaded up with hypocrisy. Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Right,
I agree with you on
but
that.
But having said that, the reason that I like it is because it's getting the Fox News audience to go, oh, I see, some of the cuts might be bad. Oh, I didn't know they were cutting veterans. Oh, they're cutting veterans? And so what I want them to understand is, if you're actually cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, you're actually going to be super popular. And whether the Democrats complain about it or not, the independents will love it, etc. But if you go cut blindly, as they're doing now, I don't know if you're cutting fat or bone. You don't. You're just cutting. Oh, there, I took out your thigh. Oops.
Yeah,
Right?
don't cut the bone. You need the bone.
Yeah,
you know?
So do an analysis. Is it fat? Is it muscle? Is it bone? Cut the fat, not the rest. But by definition, you're not doing that if you come in and go, I just fired all these people without even looking at who they are.
Exactly. Now, look, Jesse Waters actually is not the only high-profile right-winger who, has kind of spoken out against what's been happening, asking the Trump administration to basically take a step back and maybe do this in a more methodical way. Senator Lisa Murkowski, a Republican from Alaska, also has concerns into the axios of her state's many federal workers. Quote, we all want efficiencies. There is a way to do it, and the way these people have been treated has been awful in many cases. Awful. Cenk, yesterday, you weren't here, but I covered a story reported in the Washington Post about all of these Republican congresspeople who are now going to Trump hat in hand, asking for federal funding that they had before he did the federal funding freeze.
Of course.
Yeah.
But look here, I'll do both sides of that. On the one hand, if you're that Republican congressman, you're like, okay. We want to pretend to do cuts, but don't do cuts for me. Let's just do wildly political, horrible cuts where we just say, hey, let's punish the other side.
You're right there.
Take their money away, but yeah, give me the pork. I want the pork, right? So that's totally unacceptable. But if Trump sticks to his guns, at least even if I think cutting fat and muscle and bone at the same time is dumb, but he doesn't give special exemptions to Republican congresspeople, then I'll say, well, okay, at least it was across the board, and he did cut, and he didn't discriminate. So, but that jury's out. We don't know. Right now, we know the Republicans are going, please be a hypocrite, and we'll see if they get their wish.
I'm going to give you one interesting quote because it was given to Axios anonymously. It's a House Republican. And I think the fact that he or she gave this quote anonymously kind of voids what this person is saying. So let's go to graphic 4. In regard to a constitutional crisis spurred by Donald Trump's administration, he says, I think you're going to see a clash when they start abolishing agencies. Say like USAID, right? We authorize that. That's a creature of Congress. If they try to do something like that, then you're going to get into a constitutional argument or crisis. even though it's our guy in the White House, if there's a lot of executive overreach, we want to protect the institution of Congress. Do you? Do you? I'm not buying it at all.
Yeah.
He might feel that maybe they're going to fight back against the Trump administration. I don't believe a single Republican will actually do that.
No, Anna, he says that they might fight back anonymously.
Yeah.
Oh, right. He didn't give his name because he's incredibly afraid of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So he's like, yo, we might. Okay, what's your name? Oh, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to Donald Trump would die. And then you're not going to fight back.
Yeah, come on.
So just stop.
Has 2 minutes to do anything except this.
Yeah, exactly.
Nailed it. All right, still ahead on Morning Joe. We'll get to Peter Baker's new analysis in the New York Times about how President Trump's lies and distortions are laying the groundwork for radical change. You're watching Morning Joe. We'll be right back.
COPD is an ugly reality. I watch as this world just keeps getting smaller. But then, Trilogy helped us see things a little differently. With 3 medicines in one inhaler, Trilogy keeps airways open for a full 24 hours and prevents future flares. Once daily Trilogy also improves lung function, so he can breathe more freely all day and night.
Trilogy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trilogy more than prescribed. Trilogy may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor. Vision changes or eye pain occur.
Ask your doctor about once daily Trilogy for COPD, because breathing should be beautiful all day and night.
Still have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease symptoms after taking a medication like Humira or Remicade? Put them in check with Rinvoq, a once daily pill.
When symptoms try to take control, I got rapid relief with Rinvoq. Check.
When flares try to slow me down, I got lasting remission with Rinvoq. Check. And many were in remission, even at nearly 2 years.
And Rinvoq helped visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining. Check.
Rapid symptom relief, lasting remission.
And visibly reduced damage. Check.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events: infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today.
Oh, that's great.
What position did you play?
First base.
That's what Grandpa used to play. When our hearing wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear Captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on the phone, like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it.
Making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Caption service is provided at no cost to you through a federally funded program. We deliver, install, and train you on how to use your phone, all at no cost to you.
Give your loved ones the independence and connection they deserve.
Call now to see if you qualify to get a Clear Captions phone at no cost to you.
Call 1-800-714-2088. That's 1-800-714-2088.
As a cardiologist, when I put my patients on a statin to reduce cholesterol, I also tell them it can deplete their CoQ10 levels. I recommend taking Cunol CoQ10. Cunol has 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Let's go. In the wrong direction. Swimming upstream, you might say.
So, I'm going to go to one more clip before I hear your thoughts, Jake, because the real question is, where is he losing support specifically? Because remember, Donald Trump did manage to increase his support among groups of people who typically would vote for Democrats. He also increased his support during this past election among independents. That is a fragile coalition, and it appears that that fragility is now hurting him. Take a look.
You know, one of Donald Trump's great strengths during his first term, one of Donald Trump's great strengths during the 2024 campaign was the economy, the idea that Donald Trump could fix the economy. This was one of Donald Trump's great strengths. Now it's one of his great weaknesses. What am I talking about? Trump's net approval rating. You go back to his first term, February 2017, Ipsos, he was at plus 16 points on his net approval. Quinnipiac, plus 6. Look at where he is now in Ipsos. He's 8 points underwater on the economy. Quinnipiac, 4 points under on the economy. I honestly never thought I'd see the day in which Donald Trump would be polling so poor on the economy, but that day is here. As I said last week, inflation ate the Joe Biden presidency alive, and right now it is very much the case that Donald Trump is in danger of inflation eating his presidency alive because his net approval ratings on the economy are underwater.
So I'm curious what you think about this, Cenk. Is this just a blip in Donald Trump's second term, or do you think that this trend is going to continue?
Yeah, so I have a very strong feeling about that in a second. But first, I'm curious about what you guys think. So is Donald Trump going to recover from these bad poll numbers? We're asking that in the live chat on YouTube. Check out the show live Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 o'clock Eastern, so you can participate in the show. We also read your comments, too, if you remember. All right, so first thing I have to say is Harry Enton, fun guy. Okay, so normally you see me criticizing mainstream media figures.
You used to criticize Harry Enton pretty viciously.
And I used to go after Harry Enton when he was working with Nate Silver, and I thought that they were so biased, and they would constantly say, no matter how much the establishment Democrat was losing, they're like, no, he'll eventually win. Because we took 28 polls and reversed them and blah, blah, blah.
You're correct about that. Yeah. I think that Silver was a bad influence on him. Now that he's over at CNN, he does a really good job by breaking down polling objectively.
But Silver got better, too. Like, did he? No. In this election, he was one of the rare voices who was saying, look, guys, the numbers are not complicated. Biden's in a disastrous shape.
Okay, fair.
So he did a good job there, and it was objective, and he took a lot of heat for it.
He did.
And so Enton is kind of entertaining, but most importantly, he's objective.
Yeah.
He's just like, I was going to say like we do, but really what anyone should do. Just report the frickin' numbers. If they're positive for the Democrats, great. If they're negative for the Democrats, great. I don't care. Like, that's not the point. Your point is to actually show what Americans think, not what you think. And in mainstream media, they almost never do that. They always go, and American people think that, there should be more tax cuts for the rich. I'm like, when? How? Show me the freaking poll that says that. They don't say that at all. Mm-hmm. So Harry's actually doing a good job of showing the numbers when Trump is up and when Trump is down. By the way, so as you look at these numbers, they look bad, and they are getting worse for sure. That all of those numbers are correct. But the underlying numbers are still, relative to his first term, not so bad for Trump. So even though he's underwater now, those polls were at 47, 45, 44, and 45. Those are higher than Biden's numbers, like 10 points higher, oftentimes. But they're also higher than when Trump was in office the first time around, his first term. So he came in with a significant bump this time around. Remember, he won the popular vote, and what Americans do, and this is what I love, this is really open-minded of American voters. When a new president comes in, their popularity rating is always higher because it's the American people being optimistic and giving them a fair chance and saying, all right, you won whether I voted for you or not. Let's see what you got, right? So Trump is benefiting from that. Yeah. So even when he drops, the numbers are not disastrous. They're just kind of bad, not disastrous. Okay, so why are they dropping? Obviously the economy.
Yes.
Right? And look, guys, so what I told Democrats during the elections is just because you think Joe Biden is young and dynamic doesn't mean all the voters think he's young and dynamic. The rest of the voters have eyes and ears, right? So now I'm telling MAGA and the Republicans, just because you think it's great to do extreme cuts through DOGE and chop away at all foreign aid, fire all the new people that are federal employees, and get rid of cancer research and blah, 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 all these things, that doesn't mean that the middle of the country agrees with that and wants that. Like, both sides make the mistake of thinking that the extremes represent everyone that voted for Trump or everyone that voted for Biden.
That is why cutting off an entire group of people in the country based on how they vote is a really bad idea, because it leads to increased misunderstanding, right? You should know what people are actually thinking.
Yeah, 100%. So now finally to the heart of your question, Anna. So are they going to go back up or not? Well, so I'm not shy about this. I wrote, with about 2 or 3 years left on his term for George W. Bush, like a million years ago, I wrote this op-ed that at the time was considered controversial. Said, no, he's never going to recover. The numbers will only go down from here on out, because he doesn't have the capacity to recover. He's not smart enough. He doesn't work hard enough. His policies aren't popular. There's nothing he represents that is popular.
That's so unfair. He read like 3 Camus.
And a Shakespeare.
That's
okay,
right.
And as it turned out, I was right about that. And his numbers only went down, never went back up. With Trump, he's a mixed bag, guys. So does he have wild, crazy, tendencies? Absolutely. Dangerous tendencies? Absolutely. If he starts to head down as he is now, and he digs in, and he just keeps digging and digging and digging. Oh, I am going to be king. Oh, yeah, I am like Napoleon. I don't have to follow the court. Then it's going to be an epic disaster. And he's going to slide so far down, he's going to get into the 20s, okay? That's if. But Trump has this rare ability that almost no other corporate politician has. So as you see me being, appropriately super tough on Trump, he's a potential madman who could go in an authoritarian direction. He also cares about being popular. The rest of the politicians are like, popular? Yeah, I want to be popular with the donors. Where's the freaking checks? And they don't care about the American people at all, right? The uniparty. So, whereas Trump's like, oh, I'm not popular? Well, I don't like that.
Crowd sizes, poll numbers.
Yeah. So, I'll turn around. And he keeps testing things. All right, I'm going to be king. No, you guys don't like that? All right, forget it, I'm not king, okay? Oh, you guys do like that? Yeah, I'm king, okay? So he's testing. So now what he's getting back is, brother, they didn't vote for massive, weird, radical cuts, right? They voted to bring prices down. That was the number one issue. Immigration was number 2, and it was a strong number 2, but prices was a clear number 1. And now, not only are you not bringing prices down, but when egg prices went up, you're like, oh, whatever, dude. No, not whatever, dude. Whatever, dude, makes you lose 13 points in the Ipsos poll.
For making deep cuts to Medicaid, among other ideas that congressional Republicans are entertaining. This connects to the second lesson. If you change it, you own it. The third lesson, you can't build a new elite without co-opting part of the old elite. So if you want to go to war against an establishment, you need to be clearly wooing some of its members, making it easy for them to join the winning side, even while you're roughing others up. So, David, back to you here. We saw last week at the town hall in Georgia real anger in a Republican district about some of the cuts that Trump and Musk are putting forth. We're seeing some polling that suggests that people are, even Trump supporters, uncomfortable a little bit of what's coming. So as you talk, and you're so well plugged in with members of the GOP, are there any alarm bells starting to go off? Like, hey, we might be doing too much too soon? Or do they think, look, the wind's at our back, the voters gave us these victories in November, full speed ahead?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to do a little Fiddler on the Roof on the one hand, on the other hand here. On the one hand, it's hard to find Americans of any political stripe that are going to feel bad for government workers losing their jobs or getting memos saying, explain your job. Because most Americans work in the private sector. They've all had bosses that do things like that to them, and their entire life they've had to navigate this. And so, on the one hand, they're going to look at some of the changes that Trump and his allies are trying to effect in Washington, and they're just simply not going to have a lot of sympathy for the idea that you're firing government workers and trying to make government more efficient. On the other hand, I think the Trump administration is missing a political opportunity to better explain and execute what they're doing. Now, maybe voters wouldn't like it, and the way they're doing it could end up backfiring politically over time if the agencies impacted affect people's lives in an adverse way, and then they're going to say, wait a minute, I didn't vote for all of this chaos. I voted for you to fix things, not make it worse. So I think it's a matter of how the Trump administration goes about it. Do they ever explain any of this and make it clear to the American people what the strategy is? If they were to do that, they'd have more political leeway. If they do not and just appear to go about smashing glass, once these things affect voters adversely, that gives Democrats an opening to say, I told you so, and that's when voters might actually listen to what Democrats have to say about all of this.
Yeah, and Peter, it's not just the smashing glass. I mean, the image of Elon Musk with the chainsaw was striking because it was kind of wacky image, but because even over the weekend, you do have some Republican senators saying, yeah, we agree with the principle of cutting government. We want, even if it means some people have to lose their jobs, but please can they try and do it more humanely?
Yeah.
And with Elon Musk's approach, and you saw it on Twitter and now you're seeing it replicated here, humanely seems to be almost a bad word, right? I mean, the kind of the relish with which he says things like, I'm sending USA to wood chipper, the sort of cruelty, I guess is the word, is part of it.
It's part of the whole thing. Actually, humane is like diversity.
It's weak.
Right? These are not, these are radioactive words in this administration.
But could that be a problem?
Russ Vought say? Russ Vought, who's now the OMB director, the Office of Management and Budget director, had been the first term, now back in the second term, the architects of that he wanted federal workers to come to the office every day afraid and recognizing that they are the villains. It's look, every president comes in to some extent, unhappy with the bureaucracy, and some of them run against it, right? It's politics. This has gone further than we've ever seen, much further than Reagan, who was anti-government in 1981, much further than most Republicans have gone. What they're saying is that they're not just lazy and inefficient. They're saying they're evil, they're bad people, and they deserve what's happening to them. The chainsaw is what the image is meant to be. Now, is there a backlash to that? Sure. A lot of professionals, including professional Republicans, are aghast at this. This is not the way to run a government. It's not the way to cut spending, by the way. If you really want to make a serious effort at bringing down the deficit, which is a serious issue, $2 trillion a year, this is not the way you would do it. You do something much more thoughtful, much more meaningful, and you go after the real big spending items, by the way. These are not the big spending items.
All right, Chief White House correspondent for the New York Times, Peter Baker, thank you very much for being on this morning. His latest piece is available online right now, and senior writer for the Dispatch, David Drucker, thank you as well for your reporting and analysis this morning. And coming up on Morning Joe, we'll have the very latest on Pope Francis as he continues to battle pneumonia and other health issues in the hospital. Plus, we'll talk to two leading medical experts about the CDC's move to terminate its flu vaccine campaign. Morning Joe will be right back.
Ever feel like a spectator in your own life with chronic migraine? 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more. Botox prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. In a survey, 91% of users wish they'd started sooner. So why wait? Talk to your doctor.
Botox effects may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as trouble swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Those with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions like rash, breathing problems, dizziness, neck and injection site pain, and headache. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions like ALS, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medicines like botulinum toxins, which may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Chronic migraine may still keep you from doing it. Ask your doctor about Botox today. Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
The Daily Show is covering every minute of Trump's first 100 days.
You asked for it, we listen. I'm open-minded about being closed-minded.
From the lowest lows.
I was promised a new era.
What happened? To the lowest high.
From fixing inflation after it was already fixed, to fighting the nationwide crime wave that he made up.
He won the election, which means he's a great guy who's right. Go get him, Tyler.
Comedy Central's The Daily Show on Comedy Central. And next day on Paramount Plus.
My husband, Dean, always worried that his diabetes would keep him from enjoying retirement. But Dexcom G7 has made it easy for Dean to manage his sugar levels and spend more time in range. We're feeling good about the future, wherever it takes us.
This one goes better with the walls.
This is so much easier than a home improvement store.
Hey.
Yeah, some things are just better at home. With Empire's Home Floor Advantage, you can compare samples in your own space. Plus, I'll be here to help you with every step of the process.
Call or visit EmpireToday.com and get the home floor advantage.
It really is better at home.
Empire. It's clear. When my hair started to thin, I thought, am I going to have any hair left?
After I gave birth, my hair wasn't even thin, it was gone.
As I got older, I couldn't grow it past my shoulders.
Nutrafol has different formulas for all the different changes so many women go through.
Within 3 months, my hair is significantly fuller.
It's longer, it's thicker.
My friends noticed it. I felt like a completely different person.
Try the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com.
Everyone needs a vacation eventually. I mean, I need a hotel.
Trivago compares hotel prices from hundreds of sites, so you can save up to 40%.
Smart, simple. Two of my favorite things.
Hotel, Trivago.
Toe fungus is tough to kill, and it can spread.
It's time to start using FungiNail. Maximum strength FungiNail is so powerful it cures and prevents fungal infections. Plus, it has aloe and tea tree oil to restore skin health. Say goodbye to toe fungus with FungiNail.
Okay. From the most trusted journalists at Comedy Central, it's America's source for news. This is The Daily Show with your host, Jordan Clever.
Welcome to The Daily Show. I am Jordan Clever. We got so much to talk about tonight. Trump gets horny for the performing arts. Russia and Ukraine agree to couples therapy, and things are finally looking up for the measles. You know, congrats, guys. So let's get into another installment of the second coming of Donald J. Trump. Let's start with the big news from Donald Trump's cabinet. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Trump's nominee for health secretary and guy currently fighting a vulture for his lunch, has been officially confirmed. Now, I know. They said it couldn't be done. Excuse me. They said it shouldn't be done, but now it has happened. So you can now add employment to the list of things he's tested positive for. But let's move on to a big development in the war in Ukraine. And remember, during the campaign, Donald Trump made some big promises about how quickly and easily he was going to end that war.
If I'm president, in one day, 24 hours, I would tell Putin, you gotta settle. I would tell Zelensky, you gotta settle. I would get a settlement in 24 hours, no longer than one day. I can get it ended as president-elect. I will get it settled before I even become president.
I'm gonna do a Back to the Future and end this war before it even starts. Go back in time, kiss my mom, maybe have sex with her. What am I talking about? What was I talking about? So here we are, 1 month into that first 24 hours, and Donald Trump is finally ready to negotiate. But it's gonna be tough, which is why he started out with a quick warm-up negotiation first. An old-fashioned prisoner swap with Russia. Let's see how it went.
Russia freed a wrongfully detained American teacher. Mark Fogel returning to the U.S. after more than 3 years in Russian captivity, imprisoned for carrying a small amount of medically prescribed marijuana. In exchange, the U.S. releasing Russian cybercrime kingpin Alexander Vinnik.
What? You traded a cybercrime kingpin for public school teacher Mark Fogel? This is like if the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic for public public school teacher Mark Fogel. I mean, at least the teacher we got back is the cool teacher. He smokes weed and he's been to jail. I mean, you know he's showing movies in fourth period. Also, Americans, stop smoking weed in Russia. If you need to relax, try not being in Russia. Okay, now that Trump got all warmed up, it's time for the main event.
This morning, President Trump pledging to meet with Russian President Putin in person after announcing they've agreed to start negotiations immediately to end the war in Ukraine.
President Trump saying, quote, I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects.
Yeah, I'd like to know what those various other subjects were. I mean, it's a tad suspicious. It's like a husband coming back from a Vegas bachelor party saying, yeah, we ate some great food, we saw the Sphere, did various other things. Anyway, you should get a prescription for Valtrex. So, Trump has now set the stage for face-to-face negotiations with Putin on the future of Ukraine. Trump won't be going into this alone. He also has Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, a man who does not take no for an answer, according to police reports. So, get ready, Putin, because you're about to face the toughest negotiations of your life.
Pete Hegseth, speaking at NATO headquarters during his first trip to Europe, was blunt, saying Ukraine's long-sought membership in NATO isn't realistic. Neither is thinking Ukraine can regain all the territory Russia has seized.
We must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective.
Measures that will likely be welcomed by Putin, prompting questions about whether Trump is giving up his leverage to negotiate with Russia.
Speaking in unusually blunt terms, the German defense minister accusing the Trump administration of making concessions to Putin before these peace negotiations have even begun.
Okay. So before negotiations even start, America gave up the two things Russia most wants? I mean, how do Hegseth and Trump not know how to negotiate? Between the two of them, they've been divorced 97 times. I mean, if your opening move is giving away the house, the car, and the kids, best case scenario, you're leaving court with half of a golden retriever. I mean, no one's going to be happy with that, except for maybe RFK Jr. But I guess there's still plenty of stuff to negotiate. For example, which animal will Zelensky be fed to once the Russians take over? Probably a lion, but could be a shark, There's room there. Whichever animal it is, they'll probably fall out of a window. Regardless, Trump is not going to go driving a hard bargain on Ukraine's behalf, and that's fine. But as long as Ukraine is an equal member of this peace process, they'll get some of what they want.
Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of this peace process?
It's an interesting question.
Right. That's like when my dental class got lost. It's an interesting question. I gotta go. Okay, so this is not looking good for Ukraine. Imagine not even being invited to your own peace negotiations. It's like if your wife told you she wanted a threesome and then asked what night she'll be away on business. That's so much fun, sweetie. I'm strong enough for this. It's okay, I had it coming after Vegas. Now, you might think it's unfair to put Ukraine in this position after they were the ones invaded, but that's not exactly how Trump sees things.
I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace. I said that was not a good war to go into.
Not a good war to go into? They were invaded. It wasn't their idea. Little advice for the back of Abraham Lincoln's head. Don't get hit by a bullet. Not smart. Here. Clearly, this is going to be a complex negotiation, and it couldn't have come at a worse time for Trump because he's also busy with his second job, Last week, he declared himself the chairman of Washington's Kennedy Center for the Arts, the government's and if you're thinking, wait, Trump is completely unqualified to think about art, don't worry. He brought along an equally unqualified board to help him out.
He was elected by a board that he recently shook up, replacing appointees by Democratic presidents with Trump loyalists. As for the board, it now includes Attorney General Pam Bondi, Second Lady Usha Vance, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, Allison Letnick, who's the Commerce Secretary's wife.
Okay. First of all, what's up with this photo? You need a headshot of Mr. Scavino? Unfortunately, the only picture that exists of him is from when he walked in on his parents bumping uglies. But hey, Donald Trump loves arts and entertainment, and you could hear his genuine passion in a phone call he had with the board.
I think we're going to do something very special. It got very wokey, and some people were not happy with it, and some people refused to go, and we're not going to have that. We're going to have something that will be very, very exciting, and we'll do things both physically and in every other way to make the building look even better. I think we're going to make it hot. We made the presidency hot, so this should be easy.
I'm sorry, hot? Only Trump would look at a building and go, Yeah, performing arts centers have gotten very wokey. Like that theater that kicked out Lauren Boebert for giving one little tug job. Flocking it over the khaki jack sesh, not in my America. You heard Trump, though. No more woke theater. Only plays written by straight men like... Tennessee Williams? Damn it, so close. Okay, so what will Trump's new role mean for the Kennedy Center? We at The Daily Show just got our hands on an exclusive look at what we can expect.
The Kennedy Center, America's most prestigious home for the highest arts, is about to get hot. Sign up now for an all-new season designed by Chairman Trump. Screw off Twinkle Toes, because all ballet will now be done by pole dancers. Talk about a nutcracker. And join us for our cinema series, featuring every movie where a babe climbs out of a pool. Donald Likey. And you bet your ass we'll have culture, better culture, like Hamilton, but with white people. A Raisin in the Sun, but with white people. And Chen Yun, but with white people. Plus, we'll award the Mark Twain Prize to Michael Richards, but not for Seinfeld, for his stand-up. And you know why. And next fall, we'll have an evening with Joni Mitchell. Boxing Jake Paul. So come to the hot new Kennedy Center, where even the building is hot. That's right, we gave it boobs. Not just 2, like 20. The Donald Trump Kennedy Center and Casino. We got your culture right here. Arthur Miller. When we come back, Josh Johnson ruins the most important meal of the day. Don't go away.
YouTube TV is about to drop up to 23 channels, including CBS, Nickelodeon.
Find your chew toy? No. What'd you do? Bye, baby. You be good. I'll be back later.